Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and get it started.
Okay.
Open.
There you go.
There we are. Okay, so we are the Western Petrography Database Group 1. I'm Greg Mattson, Brian Dunn, Josh Verburg-Sachs, and it's our project. Okay. That's way up there. So this is just, what is it? What are we doing? A lot of the time, people, looking at minerals, it can be very hard to identify what the mineral is. Information spread across many sources. This project puts it all in one source, one database that is searchable via a web interface that we designed. Go ahead. So it's typical LAMP setup, Apache, MySQL, PHP. We use Notepad++ for most of our programming because we didn't like the Eclipse IDE, so we didn't use it. It does support all browsers that we've been able to test. We have tested all of those browsers, and it's designed for at least that resolution. Almost everybody has that resolution or larger, so we didn't really see a need to design it for a smaller resolution than that. There's just some changes to documentation. The mineral table was missing some stuff in the initial documentation. Dr. Hirsch added that actually after the course began, so that had to be changed. The updates table is very similar to the mineral table. We also had to add a previous ID so that we could link the two tables together. New submission page just lets an expert user, Dr. Hirsch, be able to add a mineral to the database very easily. The couple modules there, we didn't need them, so we removed them. And there are some references to sorting algorithms and documentation. MySQL takes care of that. We didn't need it. And then a lot of the stuff that we actually did is in DAL. That just takes care of a whole lot of things, so we added a bunch of that. This is just our architecture, fairly typical. Computers connect to Apache, grab web pages. That links into the DAL, which is the database, grabs whatever data it needs from the tables, sends it back. Client computers get what they want.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the stuff I did. One of the things we concentrated on was security. And Sam and we had Jordan, Hitch, and Daniel all tried to do SQL injections. A lot of Robert drop tables in there in our feedback. But we used the MySQL real escape string, so we haven't been able, no one's been able to drop our tables and they even know our table names. So Daniel keeps proving to us how vulnerable we are to cross-site scripting. He's done a lot of stuff with alert boxes, pictures being shown. It's pretty funny, actually. So, but we don't really know how to fix it. There's a couple things we know that we can do to fix a couple other things, but we're probably not going to be able to fix all of them. And then for logins, we decided to use session variables rather than cookies because sessions are server-side and it's a lot harder to fake them. So go ahead. So spamming, we have a feeling we're pretty vulnerable to it because we have a lot of input from the pages, and you can very easily write a script to just continually input the same thing over and over again. So if you really needed to, you could put something like that and stop people from doing that. We were also talking about putting a "Are you Daniel Jennings" one on there and then not letting him on. So I also did a lot of the design, and as you can see, we went through a lot of different color schemes and pictures and stuff. And go ahead. And then the search is one of the main parts of this. I mean, without the search, we really have no reason to do this. This is Dr. Hirsch's original idea. As you can see, he has 4 tabs. And what we didn't like about that is you can't see everything on one page, first off. And secondly, you're not really sure, am I just searching for the basics? Or when I'm on plain polars, is it just that I'm searching for, or is it the whole thing? So we decided to change this, and one of the first attempts we tried was this one. And as you can see, there's a lot of information, and putting it vertically does not work. I mean, you're scrolling up and down and all this stuff, and go ahead. And then horizontally, it doesn't work either. I mean, it's just a lot of information. So we'll show you how we finish that, or fix that later. So go ahead. And then also with testing, we're checking to make sure it displays correctly in every browser, and doing incorrect, correct input, hitting buttons when you're not supposed to, trying to get to logged in pages when you're not logged in, stuff like that. And then probably the most interesting one, which one of the director people suggested to us, was to do a load test on our database to see how fast things return. And what we found was we actually were returning way too much information, and it actually crashed and wouldn't let us, like, we went over the amount we were allowed to have of hard drive space or something. So, but that, it was blatantly obvious at that point that we were returning way too much stuff than we needed. And we actually implemented 4 new functions in the DAL to just return either everything or just the ones that we need. So, yeah, so that's my part.
All right, so one of the other aspects of the site was submissions. The idea is that not only is it a database available to people to search through, but if they find errors in the database or have extra information, they can do a revision on the site, and, or a revision on a mineral. And so, you know, just general submissions stuff is, you know, it's gone through multiple designs like the rest of the site. Sort of, each design sort of focused on a different aspect of the code, which was a good learning experience, but a little painful to rewrite, you know, trying to sort of balance the PHP and the JavaScript and the HTML. It's been interesting. The end goal, of course, is to consolidate the code. There are so many fields that I figured it would be really unpleasant to try and maintain that across like a few different pages. And so trying to generate that sort of dynamically so it would fit within different contexts was difficult. And now the submission code is all generated from one function. Okay, so this is the basic revisions page. On the left is what happens is someone will do a search for a mineral, and they'll come to this page, and the fields are disabled, so they can't accidentally mess anything up. And they can expand any of those, you know, checkboxes, and it'll show them the information. And then, if they see something they can add, they can hit the revise button, and it'll take them to this page, where the fields are enabled, and they can enter information. The contact info is required so that when someone approves it, they can, you know, talk to you in case clarification is required. So the next thing is, there are sort of 2 tiers of users. There's the basic user who doesn't have a login and is just probably doing searches and possibly revisions. And then there's an expert user who is certified by Dr. Hirsch, who's sort of the main drive behind the program. And they can approve mineral entries. And so, you know, the idea is, say, someone saw the zebra rock in the database and was like, well, I've seen one of these and it's freaking striped. And so, you know, I'll put that in the notes because it's important. And so then, like, you know, an expert user can come along and say, hey, you know, that's a really good point, and approve it. And then it goes straight into the database. And so then that data is available, like, immediately for other users.
Okay. The database. This is a large part of what I worked on. We have 4 tables in the database. Mineral properties, mineral updates, feedback, and expert user information. All the actual data, the working database, is in the mineral properties table. And there are about 100 properties for each mineral. Those are all used in the search. Mineral updates, very similar to the properties, except it also has the contact info, and as I explained earlier, has the previous ID, which links back to the mineral properties table. Feedback, just that stores any of the feedback from the site that users give. You know, they like this, they don't like that, whatever. And the login is just what's in the expert user table. And the search. So this is our main search page with everything expanded. It does have this expand collapse so that you can only view what you want. It keeps everything in a single page. It makes it really easy to see. Without this portion of the project, there is nothing. So this was very important. Use a mineral entry class with basically anything from this page put into a mineral entry class that is then used